Okay, good afternoon, viewers. I am Mohammed Bah, MS. I'm today hosting the median, median town hall meeting, which will be very interesting. And then for the next 2 hours here on Fatou, it is a platform that seeks to, create an avenue where people will share, ideas and, the same platform with their honorable members. Today we have very prominent young people in the Gambia. I will introduce them shortly. And then honorable member for Latikunda Sabiji, which is very important. And then our discussion will be centered on the constitution, that is the draft constitution. We know that the constitution is very important as Gambia moves into its transition in the country, which is one of the most in the country. As we see, the constitution has gone through different stages, ranging from creating the CRC, that is the 2017 CRC Act, and then also the first draft, the publication of the first draft by the CRC, and then the final draft, which was submitted as stipulated on the CRC Act by Justice Cherno Jalo to the president, which was in March, if you can vividly remember. And then, as stipulated in the 1997 Constitution, there are steps that the Constitution should go through. That is which is the first gazetting, and then the second gazetting, and from there it comes to the Parliament, and the Parliament plays a very important part of this transition, this platform. So basically, I am going to introduce my panelists. Um, Mr. Honorable Sekou Maram. Honorable Sekou Maram is the National Assembly member for Large Sekunda Sabili constituency. And then, Honorable, welcome to the platform. Welcome to the meeting, Honorable.
Thank you very much, Mohammed MS Bar, for having me on the show.
Thank you so much, Honorable, for having you. And then I will also introduce our lady in the house, Salimatu Fati. Salimatu is a prominent, education activist as well as human rights and also girls and other rights, advocates. So Salimatu, you're welcome as well, Salimatu.
Thank you, Mohammed, for having me here.
Thank you so much, Salimatu. Babukar is also a youth leader. He's a prominent youth activist as well. He's also in the building. Babukar, you're welcome on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored and grateful to be part of this platform.
Okay, basically, as I said initially, this platform is, bringing the people closer to the National Assembly members to discuss issues with regards to the Constitution. And we know that, as I said earlier, the Constitution is a very important document that is very key in this transition, as we see Gambia is transitioning from autocratic to a democratic government. And then the one thing that we've seen is the constitution. And then the establishment of the CRC was a clear manifestation. And the CRC had made certain consultations with Gambians. And then they did the first publication. Then from there, another consultation a little bit with the Gambians, and then later the final publications were their mandate as stipulated in the CRC Act 2017. And interestingly, this is a platform where people can discuss on this constitutional bidding. So basically, I will take you through the discussion. As I said, I am Medba, and then now we are where we are briefly is the first gazette was done, and then we are expecting also the second gazette has been done as well. The first was in May, and it should be 3 months interval, whereas before the second gazette, and then the second gazette, then it will come to the parliament. Now, basically, I want to ask the honorable member, as an honorable member, we know that it is important for the honorable members because they have a huge say in this constitutional process. You have to go debate on the constitution as well, and then so you move the bill, the motion for the promulgation bill to go, and then it is important for the National Assembly members to understand the mindset of the people and then what the people are saying about this constitution. First of all, honorable, you getting access to the constitution as an honorable member. What is your observation? What is your general perception of this new constitution as an honorable?
Well, thank you very much, MS Ba, for that wonderful question that you posed to me. And then also let me thank the organizers for this brilliant coming up with this brilliant idea, because if you look at the title, it entails a lot. What it's talking about is the Constituency town hall outreach. That means that we get to our people, seek for their opinion of how we want this new constitution to be. And then having this kind of a program, having a young and a dynamic guys on the panel and discussing this very important issue, I think that's something that we should really cherish. MS, this draft constitution, actually, rightly said, it has been gazetted already, as we all know. And then by September, it will come to the National Assembly. And the National Assembly also, we have our procedures, because we have our standing order that guides our operation in the National Assembly. So we're going to have a first reading, as you know, because it's going to come, it's going to be introduced as a bill. So it is going to go for first reading and second reading and then the third reading. That's how it goes at the National Assembly. But I know there's a lot of observations that I have. I have a lot of observation in this draft constitution. Because hello, yes.
Yes, you can continue. I know we will definitely come to those discussions, but you can go ahead. What are some of the observations, the key ones that you observe as an honorable as well?
Well, there are lots of observations in this draft constitution, but this is going to be introduced as a bill in the National Assembly, and then as a bill, we have the power, as a member of Parliament, we have the power to make a recommendation to the CRC team based on this draft that we have, because it's not the final one. But I have my observations today, because I know there are a lot of observations, because we cannot discuss everything. But I will limit it to the National Assembly, the role of the National Assembly. That's the importance of National Assembly in this draft constitution, and that was the role of the executive in this draft constitution as well.
Yeah, we will come to that. We will come to that. Basically, I just come to. I want to come to Madam Fatou. Madam Fatou, what's your general perception of the new constitution? And then, what do you think? How would you think the National Assembly can play a part towards this important process? Salimatu, are you getting?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Basically, the new constitution has touched a lot of areas. I think one of the key things that I really appreciate is the fact that it recognizes the effort, the women participation in all phases, and as well as the differently able people as well. And it also do not allow the National Assembly members to overuse their powers. All of these things are a progress for the Gambia, because it's more like it's creating an avenue whereby everyone is going to be accountable for all of your actions, most especially to any position whereby you are voted in for. So the constitution is actually like it brings it's democracy. It makes everyone to be citizens of the country. It makes you feel like a citizen of the country. It makes you not to violate any laws, and you are like nobody is above the law. I love the fact that the constitution captures something like that. In as much as you are voted for in office, in as much as whatever your position is, you are going to accountable for your action.
Okay, thank you very much. Honorable, coming to honorable member,
Yeah.
Mr. Honorable Maram. Honorable, seeing if you observe part 3 of the Constitution, that's the final draft, it has highlighted the National Assembly, their leadership, and then their powers and their sittings, and then all whatnot. Like basically things that are stipulated on or rule of the National Assembly. Looking at the draft, Honorable, what are some of the powers? What are your powers, or what are the views? What are your views on the powers given to the National Assembly as provided in the draft constitution? To speak, Honorable Member.
Well, thank you very much, MS. MS, if you look at this draft constitution that we are looking at, if you look at this, the rule of the National Assembly, we find out that the National Assembly have been given a lot of powers in this draft constitution that we are right now looking at. Because if you look at the all anything that the government wanted to do almost in one way or the other, National Assembly must be involved. So that makes it a very, very important, National Assembly a very, very important institution in this country as far as this draft constitution is concerned. You looked at the draft constitution, you look at the section, there is a various sections that if you look at, that will highlight the role of the National Assembly. Starting from the first, let's say, starting from section 3, if you looked at the section 3, it highlights the role of the National Assembly because it's telling you that you cannot do this until it is an act of a National Assembly. Wherever you had here that in an act of a National Assembly, that means the National Assembly had a role to play in it. So if you look at the section 3, you look at section 4, it all also tell you the role of the National Assembly. Not only that, if you look at the role of the National Assembly, is that the executive, that's the president, can only nominate the ministers, but the confirmation is done by National Assembly. You look at that one also is there. It doesn't stop there. National Assembly also are the one responsible for allocating budgets. That is also the role of the National Assembly. But it also went further to create an opportunity for the electorate to recall their members, which is very important. That's the key. That means National Assembly members are accountable to their electorate. So that's hello.
Yeah, we will definitely go there. But now I'm looking at the powers and also separation of powers, because you've already dilated. You start touching on those things. We've seen that the National Assembly member currently, when you look at the 1997 Constitution, the National Assembly member, indirectly or directly, I can say, the executive has probably say in the sense that the executive appoints the parliament, that is the Speaker of the National Assembly and 5 other nominated members. Looking at the 1997 Constitution and then the draft, looking at their differences, what do you think the executive having or appointing the speaker indirectly, or let's say directly, if I may say that way? What's
Well,
the
thank you very much. If you look at that area, you find out that now this time around, the draft constitution that we are looking at right now, the Speaker of the National Assembly is not going to be nominated by the President. The Deputy Speaker is not going to be nominated, as it used to be in the 1997 Constitution, that the 5 members have to be nominated by the President. And out of that 5, that's why we have the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, and the others that are representing the various groups of the people in this country. But looking at this draft constitution, what is telling you is the Speaker of the National Assembly is going to be elected by the National Assembly outside of the National Assembly. This one thing also we need to understand. But the Deputy Speaker also have to be elected within the elected member of the National Assembly, that inside the National Assembly. So there's these two things that also we need to understand. So this gives a lot of power to the National Assembly, that the executive will not have that control over the National Assembly. This, in short, is just given as a total independence. It's given a total independence to the National Assembly. That's what this draft constitution is doing compared to the 1997 when it comes to the operations of the National Assembly.
Okay. I come to Madam Fati. In this, you've heard what was said, that the National Assembly probably, trying to contrast it with the 1997 Constitution. We obviously know that the president is the one nominating the speaker, and then probably the five nominees, and then including the deputy speaker of the National Assembly, which question the area of check and balance. If I am most of the people are saying, if I am feeding you, I will not buy the finger, or because of I am you are the one feeding me, so I will not bite your finger. So how do you connect this line with the 2020 draft? Is there
Um,
any separation of powers between the National Assembly and the executive?
Yeah, based on the new draft of the constitution, there is a separation of power. I mean, obviously, in the 1917 constitution as well, I think there was a separation of powers, but it was not really being practiced, or the enough power has not been given to the National Assembly to exercise certain kind of powers. So if you look at the draft constitution, it has made the both bodies to be independent, so they can all be independent on their own. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I'm kind of hearing some sound on the background.
Eh,
Uh,
There is some noise, but you
yeah,
can getting you right. We're getting you. You can go ahead.
in,
Okay. Uh, yeah, we Salimatu. I don't know what is happening, but there is noise. Okay, we sorry for that. Salimatu, you can continue. You can
yeah. So
continue.
yeah, perfect. So, like I was saying, when you looked at the separation of powers in the 1990, the current constitution, I think the draft constitution actually looked at it by giving lots of power to the National Assembly. If you looked at the 1970 constitution, I think the National Assembly do not have certain kind of powers when it's come to in making certain laws. Though the executive, they are they have power and they sign the bill when it's finalized and all of that. But this new draft constitution has really empowered the National Assembly a lot to try to bring our laws that are made by the people of the country.
Okay. Still, National Assembly are given the powers to make laws as well, because they have
Eh,
the power to make laws. We are now talking. We're talking about exactly the separation of powers, whether
mhm.
the executive will not have influence over the National Assembly, because they at least there is a kind of a connection between the presidency and the speaker,
Yeah,
because the
yeah, yeah.
speaker is nominated by the national. But thank you for that. Let me
Mhm,
come to the honorable member. Honorable,
mhm,
it is very important because you made mention of the speaker of the National
mhm,
Assembly,
mhm,
who is probably we can say
mhm.
the referee, which is very important, and for the independence of the speaker, and also his or her impartiality, which is very vital. And you've made mention of the speaker, like now the speaker will be elected. But in your view,
Mhm.
um, is is that sufficiently um, given in the constitution? Is it stated how the speaker? To my own understanding, there are some lapses, but is it sufficiently created how the speaker will be elected from outside, or how he or she will be removed? Can you please tell us? Is it clear? And then how do you think that can happen?
Well, thank you very, very much, MS, for that wonderful questions. I think for the issue of a speaker, and because the deputy speaker is clearly, it's tell us how the deputy speaker is going to be, how he's going to be elected, and then where he's going to be elected. But for that of a speaker, it is we didn't know much about it. But what we also understand is that it is allowing the draft constitution is given us a power to use our procedure. That's the standing order, to work on some of those areas, that how to remove the speaker from office and how to do other things. Then that one is going to be done by the National Assembly. That is on the way this on is going to be decided by the standing order of the National Assembly. That's what the
Mhm.
power. That's the power given to the National Assembly. that how to remove the speaker and how the speaker, because we are told that the speaker should be elected outside the parliament. But we are not, there is nowhere in this draft constitution that says that this is how the speaker should be removed from the National Assembly. But tell us that you can use your standing order to regulate some of those rules. You can come with your own rules as a standing order to see how to regulate, how to remove the speaker from office. That one is there.
Okay, that you're trying to say that after when the constitution is come into effect, then you have to revise your standing order to be in line with the constitution, or to clearly define how the speaker will be elected.
Yes.
That's what you're trying to say.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay, very clear, very clear. How do you think that can be possible? Do you think, to your own suggestions, like, what do you think? Is it going to be elected within the elected National Assembly? If you are to decide, the standing order, if it comes, you must have a say. It will be brought forward, and then the National Assembly will debate on it, and then they do a revision. Probably it goes to the relevant select committee, and then it comes back to the whole House. However, I want to know your mind on this. What would you prefer, like, within the elected National Assembly members, or how do you think this can be possible?
Well, Mr. MS Bar, if you looked at the section 145 of the draft constitution, section 145.2, what it says is very simple. It says the speaker shall be elected by the member of the National Assembly from outside the National Assembly, in accordance with the standing order of the National Assembly, in accordance with the standing order of the National Assembly. So now, yes, here I also have a problem, because recalling of the president, we say the National Assembly have the power to impeach the president, and it is clearly stated in the draft constitution. And then also, member of the parliament, the Recall Act, that is section 144, is clearly stated how a member of a parliament can be recalled. So it should be clearly stated also in the draft how the speaker should be recalled from his office. But if it is not there, we can go up to a certain stage that might be, I'm not saying it, might be if there is a too much political interference, we can have a problem. So in that case, in order for us to avoid all those scenarios in the future, I think the draft constitution should clearly state it, how the speaker should be removed from that office. I think it is important. But as it is, leaving it with the standing order to regulate that one, I didn't support that idea. I don't think that is a good idea.
You want it to have a constitutional footing rather than the being an independent order.
Exactly.
Clearly, as you stated, in the new draft constitution, it is already stated how National Assembly members will be recalled. Okay, so all right, so that's your opinion, that it should be in the constitution.
Yes, that's my opinion.
The onus lies on us, on you rather, because the constitution is coming to you as National Assembly members.
Exactly. Well, not only us, but also people like the Salimatu, Abubakar, and Eko.
Yeah.
We need the input of every Gambian in this. Exactly. Let us all look at it holistically and see our ideas about it. That will help us a lot. At the end of the day, when we are debating, we are going to be guided by what our electors are telling us, what they want from this draft, and that is very important.
Salimatu, what is your take on that? That the constitution not clearly spelling out the speaker's removal, the removal of the speaker, as it is clearly stipulated in section 144 about the recalling of the member of the parliament, which is from their constituency. What do you think? What was your take?
Well, actually, I'm gonna look at it in twofold here, but its selection and its removal. I mean, having a speaker at the National Assembly is very, very crucial. So I believe even its selection not supposed to be vague. If you look at the draft constitution, it's more like it's just let it to people or the National Assembly members to decide. I think it's supposed to have a specific way, it has to be specific actually how the speaker is going to be selected, and also about its removal. Everything have to be so specific. It's not supposed to be just let it like that, because it's a very, very important role. And issues like, I mean, such kind of rules should not just be vague and just letting it like that. It has to be concretely and be established in the constitution.
Okay, it should have a constitutional footing, which is very important. Okay, Honorable, let's talk about your recalling. Like, we know that the 1997 Constitution has probably a portion which stated about the recalling, but it is not clearly spelled out like the 2020 draft. It's a different case. If you look at the calling of National Assembly in the 1997 Constitution, it's supposed to have an elaborative, clause that is not that much elaborative as the 2020 draft. Now, Honorable, can you tell us about the recalling, of the National Assembly members?
Well, thank you very much, MS. As you said, if you look at the 1997 and look at 2020 draft, you see there's a big difference in terms of recalling of a member of the National Assembly. But in the 1997 Constitution, what it's telling us that we can pass an act of a National Assembly to recall a member, and up till now, as I'm speaking, that one is not been it's not there. So that means that as I'm a member of a parliament, I cannot be recalled by my electors. But if you look at the draft, it is clearly stated that how a member can be recalled from his or her position as a National Assembly member. But it also went further. I have a problem at one end also, because if you look at the Recall Act, that is section 144, 2, if you look at 2, A, B, that ones are fine. Those ones are okay. But if you look at section 144, 2A, 2C, that one, I have a problem with that one also, because what I expect, what they were telling, what they told us here is that they say the persistent failure to keep his or her constituency informed of a decision taken by the National Assembly. All right, I think that's something very, very important that we need to discuss in detail, because we need to know how is this done. I think this is important.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. You continue.
All right. How this portion, I think, is important. It should be clearly stated how to reach out to your people, because, like, for instance, we are doing a town hall. This is a kind of reaching out to your electorates. But every member of every electorate in your constituency doesn't have an access to this gadget, to follow us on these platforms. But how we should do this one is important, because, and also let us not forget the political environment of our country now. When we say reach out to the people, sometimes a member of a parliament can call a meeting where a section of his people will not attend that meeting, and they can go on and say that, look, we've not been part of this meeting, we've not been engaged before, so therefore we are going to recall our sitting member of a parliament. So these are some of the issues that we have to look at before before any other things. We need to look at this area. They are important.
That is, there should be an vivid description of how section C, that is subsection C, sense of failure of informing your constituent about the decision you make or decision made in the National Assembly. So, how would you suggest, like, for you, if you are to extend this portion, how would you suggest it? Then I will come to Fatih. What would you suggest?
Well, I think this is simple. What we can do here is that, let's say we can give a specific time. Says that in every year, let's say you should reach out to your people, let's say 3 or 4 times. It should be specified clearly that you should reach out to your people, let's say in every January or in every March or in every November. And you should inform your people before you do this, before the reach out meeting, and before you have a meeting with them, you should make sure that every member of that area is informed. Maybe you can use a media platform, you can use any media platform, or you can even use these local, radios. Inform your people that I am going to do this. But every member of that, every member of your electors should know about that. Every January we're supposed to have a meeting with our member of the parliament, or let's say, or National Assembly have a first session. Before the beginning of any session, every member should be aware that there will be a session. So we need to have a consultation meeting with our member of the parliament so that we can inform him about what our decision is based on X, Y, and Z. So that will help a lot. But if you just leave it open like this, at the end of the day, a section of people will just organize themselves and say that we were not informed and we are not part of the meeting, so therefore we're going to recall our member of the parliament.
Okay. Babukar, are you following? We've been losing you on several occasions. Babukar, are you here? Bubakar, sorry, not Babukar.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Abubakar.
not unfortunate that my network is not good, so I have to fix that.
Oh, okay, but
Unfortunately, so sorry for that.
you are following
don't mind him. He's from Kiang, so they never have a good network.
Interesting.
I know.
Okay, Abubakar, you've heard honorable member about the recall, and then which is very important. I think you are one of those that are within his constituency. It's important to also tell us whether you think there is a concern with regards to the recalling. The honorable member made mention of the section, that is section C, which does not clarify how and which platform or medium can be used, and then the duration also. What's your suggestion about recalling? That is, calling back your National Assembly member and put them to order, or dismiss them because it's the voters that put them there.
Well, thank you so much, MS. I think this question is very important, and I am very grateful. Yes, I'm getting you loud and clear. Are you?
Yes, you can go. Go ahead.
Are you hearing?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Babukar, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What I'm saying is as far as the National Assembly is concerned, and as far as the representation is concerned, we have to understand one thing here, and we have to put something into consideration here.
Losing you. We are losing. We are losing you. We are not getting you clear. We are not getting you clearly, Babukar. I'm so sorry for that. Honorable, I will go through some of the concerns that are raised by people before we move ahead. So I'm urging viewers. You can just send in your comments, please. We will read them to the honorable member. Any concern you have.
National Assembly is concerned, and as far as the Constitution of the Gambia is concerned,
okay,
and as far as the representation is concerned, understand that you are not the representative you to deliver to an right to recall you, because they are the.
Babukar, we are not getting you. I'm sorry for that. Honorable, we have some concerns raised by people. Probably they are members of your constituency. We have Lamin Minte, Lamin Boston Minte. He asked, Honorable, are you getting me? Honorable.
Yeah. I can get you loud and clear. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So these are the concerns that are raised by people. Quickly before we go, someone called by the name Lamin Boston Minte. He said, "Why would the MPs allow a speaker coming from outside? It should be an elected MP. Remember, the speaker can take charge of the government in case something happened to the president." That is the first question. I go ahead with the other one.
Yeah.
Okay. The other one, Moyo Dambisa Moyo, he said, "Why not we introduce e-voting system for those who are acquainted with devices, especially in trying times like COVID-19 era?" Okay, these are the some of the comments that we've got. So I will leave you to go ahead with the answers, Honorable. The first one is,
the speaker? Why speaker?
Outside,
yeah. Outside. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, MS. I think, and then also let me thank Lamin Minte for that brilliant idea. I think he's also
yeah. Go ahead, Honorable. Honorable, go ahead.
Okay, I think this is the reason why we are calling for, we are saying that a town hall outreach. We want to know what their comments are. We want to know what their inputs are. So I think this is important because if you look at the speaker, what he suggests is important. If a member, elected member,
Hello, MS.
you
Are you
know,
hearing me?
Yeah, Babakar, we are listening, but Honorable is on his feet. Please. Honorable, go ahead.
All right. If you looked at the speaker, if you look at section 145, if you look at section 145.2, what it told us is that it said the speaker shall be elected by the member of National Assembly from outside the National Assembly in accordance with the standing order of the National Assembly. So that means that it simply means that National Assembly we're going to have our standing order that we're going to use to say this is how we want the speaker to be elected, maybe from outside, but how we have to sit down as a member of parliament and decide on that one. That will be done by the dictate of our standing order. So we're telling them, I think this is a very vital question that Lamin Minte is asking, that the Speaker of the National Assembly should be selected among the elected member of the parliament, like the Deputy Speaker. Because if you look at the Deputy Speaker, that's what it says. It says Deputy Speaker should be elected among the elected member of the parliament. That's what it says. So maybe he's trying to say that the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker, the selection of the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker should all be the same. But also, let us not forget that the Speaker, if you look at the Speaker, also, the Speaker is the third in command in the country because it's the President, the Vice President, the third in command is the Speaker. So the selection of the Speaker and then the selection of the Deputy Speaker, I think also there should be a big difference. There should be a difference how the Speaker should be selected and how a Deputy Speaker should be selected. But they are our people. They are our electorates. So we're going to say what they want to do, what they want. We're going to speak to them, and then this is what exactly we are doing. Have a conversation with them. Hear what they are saying about this draft constitution. At the end of the day, I know we're going to take a decision that is going to be in the best interest of the general Gambian people.
Okay. Okay.
And then also someone is talking, and then also someone also talk about the e-voting system.
Yes.
Yes, I think this is important because looking at what is happening right now, let's say during this pandemic that we are in right now, COVID-19, not necessarily of we go into the National Assembly and have a session and do voting. I can be at my house and then do the voting and then whatsoever. I think in terms of that one, technology need to be empowered. We need to invest. Government of the day should invest more on technology so that all these platforms can be created in a very, very easy way. Because other countries are doing it. I think there's a possibility of Gambia also coming up with this idea. Because the COVID-19 is a wake-up call for every country in this world. So I think this is a possibility, and then we're going to look at it also as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A lot of people will argue that the speaker is a very important position. We've seen places like you see Ghana, the Ghanaian constitution will say it's either within or outside the parliament. If you look at the UK system, those are very mature democracy. They would have an elected member who would be a speaker. But what people are arguing is in the Ghanaian context, probably if a speaker is elected or is elected from the elected representatives, then that person is going to the constituency. His or her role, because we know that you have oversight functions, you have legislative functions, and you have representative functions. That passes because the speaker is overwhelmed. The office of the speaker is very overwhelmed. You cannot be focusing on your work as a speaker at the same time focusing on your work as someone who is representing the constituency. These are the two arguments, but we've seen other countries that are doing it. Probably there is a system that they put in place. People are saying, why not Gambia learn from all those people? Some are saying it cannot work. So before we go further, what did you say on that? What do you think is the best for the Gambia as a member?
Well, thank you very much, MS. I think left on me alone, what I'm going to argue when it comes to the selection of a speaker, I am going to follow the footsteps of Ghana, how Ghanaians are doing it. I think it is important. We need to have a speaker. But if you looked at how it is even defined in our draft, section 145, if you look at section 145 2D, where it even went further to tell us that the speaker had not been nominated for election as a member of the National Assembly in the public election immediately preceding his or her election as a speaker. That means that if you run for a position of a National Assembly, you cannot be a speaker of the National Assembly. So I think there's a gap. That shouldn't have to be. I would prefer we select the speaker among the elected representative of the country. Let's say those who are, let's say, among the National Assembly members. Because what we've seen is that
so the representation part of it, do you think if someone is, like for instance, if you are Honorable Marong and now you are the speaker, then probably your people have lost you, in the sense that only your office job is overwhelmed, and then you are the speaker, you have to make sure everything goes well, you have to make sure things that are on your desk, you clear them. Can you balance it with your representation role?
well, yes, I think it is very possible. It is possible that you can do it. Because if you look at the draft also here, what we understand is that the draft constitution that we have now is not even given a voting power to the speaker, as we have in this 2020 draft constitution. The speaker there is not having a voting right. But let's say that if the speaker is from Latikunda Assembly, if I'm a speaker, I have a voting right. I can vote against anything that I wish is not right, or I can vote for or against anything that I think is not right.
Then you are the judge and the jury. Now you are the referee. At the same time, you are having an interest.
Not exactly, because even right now, what we have right now is that when the speaker is at the key, when there is a tie, the speaker will only vote when there is a tie. But when there is no tie, then the speaker will not take part in the voting. And when the speaker is just presiding over a session, he or she cannot vote. We have to understand that one also. The speaker can vote only when we come to the committee of the whole assembly, and when there is a tie. So that's when the speaker is allowed to vote.
Okay, perfect enough. This is a debate that will continue because others are saying the contrary. Going forward, Honorable, looking at the draft constitution, what are some of the key powers of the executive as provided in the 2020 draft constitution? What is your view? And looking at some of the powers, for instance, the power to nominate the vice president, and also the power to also nominate ministers, and then National Assembly is only given 14 days to look into it, and then if you fail, then automatically the minister will be become a minister, appointed as minister automatically. What are some of the powers looking at the executive?
Well, thank you very much, MS. I think the executive have the power, but if you look at this draft, is that the National Assembly have a control. They have a total control over these in terms of what we're talking about. There's the president nominating and the National Assembly making the confirmations. But now, before we go to that, MS, I want to discuss something I think is important. That is for the National Assembly, because I believe National Assembly is being given over a lot of power. The power given to the National Assembly, I think, is too much. Because if you look at the section, in fact, even if you look at the section 153.
Okay. Okay.
If you look at section 153, that is the legislative power of the National Assembly. 153, subsection 2, subsection 3. 53,
yes.
3. It's telling us the subject to the subsection 2, E. The National Assembly may pass bill to have a retroactive effect. So I think that shouldn't have to be. That should not be part of this draft. Because if you look at the 1997 Constitution, it's telling us that the National Assembly cannot pass a retroactive law. So now you're telling us that the National Assembly can pass a retroactive law. When we introduce this in the future, we're going to have a problem. So I think that the power given to the National Assembly sometimes is too much. It can be abused along the way. So I think it's important.
Okay, you think that retroactiveness, but there are arguments that probably it's just a general accepted principle, but it's not something that is carved in stone. Probably some of bad laws that affect the people. For instance, when it comes to criminal laws and other laws that cannot be retroactive, but something that has development oriented law. So, I can say all laws are development oriented, but some of them probably are very exceptional. For instance,
Mhm.
probably when you look at the term of the president, when the law says, when the constitution come into effect, it's to
Mhm.
avoid probably people prolonging their power, or trying to entrench themselves on power. They're saying that the law is going to be automatic because the barrow's term will be part of it. I know you do not agree with me, but probably these are the things that is why they gave the National Assembly powers to do, so that things can move. Don't you
Well,
think so?
MS, I think what I think so in this area is that we are in a system whereby we don't expect one government to be in position like for 10 or 15 or 20 years. There will be a change of government. So when that happens, might be, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. What might be, this set of people that are coming into office will say that no, during when these guys were in office, this is what they do to us. So now we're going to pass a law which is going to be retroactive and go after them. At the end of the day, that can cause a chaos. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but the National Assembly is not a single person's show. You
But
understand?
you never know what will happen in the future. A single party can have an absolute majority in the parliament. Is that not so?
Okay, yes, that can be,
So,
but
okay.
National Assembly, you
Mm.
have to work on based on concerns the interests of the people, and also follow the rule of law. These are probably the three basic principles that the National Assembly should put in his or the back of his or her mind. So now, and also, National Assembly goes through proceedings. So if you're telling me that probably this is something that National Assembly can abuse, then we then it's going to be a problem.
Yes,
It's your
MS,
opinion.
I think it's going to be a problem because what I'm telling you is that to you what you think is a bad law, to others is a
Mhm.
good law. That's what we have to. Let's just balance it in that way. All right. For instance, you might say that I can see things in a perspective that it is good, it is in the interest of the country. You may see it and opposite, but you are looking at is that for your end, what I am seeing is not in the interest of the country. What how you are seeing it, that's the interest of that's the best interest of the country. So this is why I'm saying that this retroactive law, National Assembly should not pass any law that is retroactive. I am totally against that one.
Okay, you're
Yeah.
against that one. Okay, let me go to my people. Probably they also have a follow up or issues that they want to raise with regards to the
Exactly,
sections
exactly.
that you raised. Bubakar, I will give you the floor because we've not been having you, and then also Salimatu, once went and then for a while, and then she could not come back. But we are having you. It's important to have you. Okay, Bubakar, tell us what concerns do you have with regards to the
Uh,
discussions?
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much. Like I was saying, unfortunately, my connection is very poor. But then, I'm grateful once again for giving me the floor. I just want to talk about the question that you asked. That is, with regards to the recalling of the MP, the National Assembly members. And then you asked me about the issue of the National Assembly member for Latrikunda Savage, which is Sekumaro. I think the people of Latrikunda Savage constituency representing them. Because if you look at the current situation of Latrikunda Saviji, you will begin to understand that what they voted for is not what they have been seeing. And then I think they have the right to recall their MP because what happened is people have to understand one thing here as far as representation is concerned. Because when you are given the opportunity, when you are elected to represent people, you have to understand that you are not there in your capacity as an individual, but you are there in your capacity as a representative of a particular constituency or a particular political party or a particular region. So what you need to do or put into consideration is you have to have what we call integrity and dignity. And you cannot have that integrity if you don't have that sense of representing your people, doing justice to them and do the right thing. So we are so unfortunate and we are so unlucky that we have a representative who is not there for the interest of the constituency. And the person will be telling you that we have to, we have to support the president. We have to give the president the opportunity for him to lead. This president is so and so and that. No, this is why we have what we call the check and balances. And this is why we have what we call separation of power. Because you have the judiciary, you have the legislature, and you also have the executive. And all these people have a role to play in making sure that at least we have good laws, in making sure that we have a development, in making sure that we have a good constitution, in making sure that we deliver to an expectation. So if the president or the executive is not doing the right thing, it is the obligation and the responsibility of the National Assembly to make sure that they do the right thing by directing and by warning the president that, look, this is what you are doing, but it should not be like that. This way, you should do it like that. So if you look at the 1997 constitution and that of the draft constitution, these are, different. They have just few differences. But then if you look at the recollection, how to recall an MP, I think they have similarities. Because one, it says what? When the National Assembly is dissolved, that for instance, you can be recalled if for instance a political party voted you for if a political party helps you to be in the National Assembly, and at the end of the day you betray the cause, you betray that political party, they have the right. And then again also, if the people who have voted you in, you are not delivering to an expectation and you are not doing what they want, you are not representing them, they have the right to recall you. So these are
But
things that we scrutinize.
yeah, in the
Yeah,
National
now tell me.
Assembly, it has. Yeah. No. I'm just having a clarity. You've said something that
Yeah.
a political party can recall. It has been removed. It was section. It was part of it. Section 91D of the Constitution. And then the private member bill was removed, and then that section is normal now. It's the recall. Even the recall, it made mention of it in the 1997 Constitution, but it was supposed to be further empowered by an
Act of
act of
Parliament.
Parliament to explain. But that one, there is nothing. The National Assembly members are now sitting. They don't want people to recall them right now, because someone can just
Yeah.
move a private member bill and then have it, boom, it is there. But you can
But
continue.
but
I was
but
just
but
trying
then
to.
MS, but
Yes.
but what I don't understand here, if you don't want people to recall you, then no need for you to convince them to vote for you. You want people to vote for you because they expect that you are going to deliver to an expectation. They expect that you are going to be there for their own interest. So when people voted you and you are not doing the right thing, they have the right to recall you. And I think we need to do justice to ourselves and to the people that elected us in offices. You understand? This is the problem in Africa. People give you the opportunity for you to do the right thing. You don't do that. At the end of the day, you don't want them to recall you because you don't want to lose your seat in the National Assembly. What we are saying is, if the political party that empowers you to be in the National Assembly, at the end of the day you betray them, resign and go for a by-election. And these people have the own right to recall you because they have a
So you're
mission and
saying,
they send you in the assembly to represent the interest of the nation. They also send you there to serve the interest of your own people. So if you are not serving the interest of your own people, by right, they have the right to recall you. And this is what actually happened in Narikunda Service constituency.
so are you saying the
So
political parties?
I don't think what
No,
I'm
no,
saying
no,
is I'm not
no.
saying what I'm saying is no, people elect you, you understand, because of certain reasons, you understand. And one of the reasons is because you belong to their political party. You understand? So all these things convince other
But not
people
everyone.
to vote for you. No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But if you look at Simon, for instance, Sebo is given the opportunity to be in the assembly because of UDP, for instance. You understand? Because nobody knows him before. Nobody knows him. So it's because of the political.
Okay.
Well,
I've seen your point that you're trying to say political party. Babukar, you gone back. Bubakar. I keep on saying Babukar. I'm sorry, Bubakar. You're trying to say that political parties can recall National Assembly members. Interesting. It's an opinion. Now I'll leave Madam Fati. Madam Fati, what's your opinion on recalling moving forward?
Well, actually, I would totally agree with Babukar. I think the draft constitution or the National Assembly shouldn't feel worried about the recalling because people selected you for the position, so you have to come to the people and let them recall you. It's more the Constitution Bureau finally has to make sure that these things are captured. National Assembly should not run away from the recalling, and also the National Assembly members supposed to meet up with their people frequently, because most of the time what happened is you during election you will see a lot of National Assembly members, but right after election you wouldn't see them anymore. And lots of people in the community will have concern, and they wouldn't even know. Some people would not even know who are their National Assembly members. So it found it really hard. So it's going to be very, very important for National Assembly members to meet up with. It has to be a constitutional mandate whereby National
And
Assembly.
yes, I just want to ask a follow-up question. How long do
Yeah.
you think National Assembly members should be going to the constituency and then updating, or doing their representative functions? How, like, duration? Is it every month, every 2 months, quarterly? What do you think is the best?
I think quarterly will actually do quarter in March. I'm suggesting quarterly base. Every quarter they have to go back to their people and let them report what they have been doing, and also to hear from the concern of the community people. So it has to be based on every quarter they have to go. But we have to go away in a form of whereby when they are selected, we no longer see them anymore. And that contact between the National Assembly member and their consequences is supposed to be established. The National Assembly members supposed to be open to their people, especially when it's come to issues of concern, race, and every other thing. They have to be open to people. So quarterly calling them all the time, all supposed to be captured in the Constitution. And it has to be. I mean, it's supposed to be adopted. I don't think they're supposed to see that as a big issue, or they are more of like afraid of it. Because if that happens, I'm seeing it in a more of they are not actually doing the work for the interest of the country. Because if they are doing the work for the interest of the country, they'll be so happy to approach the people, to report to them what they have been doing, and also to hear from the people about their concern. So this should not even supposed to be a debate, and they should be proud of that instead of like push and pull and stuff.
Okay.
Anyways,
Opinion. Opinion. Okay. Now we are talking about the recall. And the Constitution has stated it. That is the 2020 draft, final
Mm.
draft. The Constitution. It is clear. But the 1997 Constitution, like your National Assembly member, probably cannot be recalled by the people, cannot be recalled by political parties, because it has already been removed. Okay, now moving forward, I know that it's important that we. Oh, Honorable, you want to say something before we
Yeah, I
go
want to say
forward?
I want to say something. What I want
Okay.
to say, I think we need to understand the subject that we are discussing here. We are discussing about the draft constitution. We are not saying that in the draft you cannot recall your member. We're saying that in the draft, it's very possible you can call the elected member of an parliament. But if you look at if you go for that Salimato's proposed, Salimati has said that's what I was saying, that's exactly what he's saying. Let us put a time frame that you should go and meet your people. It shouldn't have to be open like that. At least we should have a way of meeting your people. Let's say there's a 4 ordinary session in the parliament. Let's say first ordinary session, second ordinary session, third ordinary session, and then the fourth ordinary session. All these sessions, before this session or during this session, you should make sure that you meet your people and discuss with them the issues that you guys are discussing at the parliament. But we're not talking about here between my political party, you do this or that. No, we have a draft before us and we are debating. This draft is coming before the parliament. We are listening to you as our electorate to give us your ideas about this draft, how we should go about it, how we can call the members. This is what we want everybody to understand. I think this is why we should understand the subject that we are discussing today. That is the draft. What can we do about the draft? What is their take on the draft? But we are not saying as a member of parliament, you cannot recall us. Yes, we are saying it is there. It is a law. And if you look at it that way, what I even say is that I am saying that if they talked about reaching out to your people, but they are not specific. And we want it to be very specific. How many times do you reach out to people? This is what we are trying to. That's what I was saying.
Honorable, some people are opining that, if you say quarterly, probably it will be a little bit vague, and then there will be a lot of issues that are going on that should be discussed at the local level, at the constituency level. And then if you say on quarterly basis, probably some will just wait until it is maybe quarterly. Probably if you look at the year, I think it has 4 quarters, if I am right.
Yes.
So you're just meeting people 4 times a year after with all what you're doing. Some are saying it has to be continuous meeting, like
Exactly. I think this is the purpose. That's why we are doing this one. This is why we say town hall
some
outreach.
are suggesting that
Exactly. So they are suggesting that at the end of the day, we will also sit down and look at what they are suggesting. And this is why we are creating this platform, so that we can discuss about these drafts and share ideas. If I say less, that's my opinion. Maybe I was just trying to say that. How about let's make it quarterly? But someone might come and say that, look, instead of quarterly, that is too much. How about every month? Let us try and engage our member of parliament every month is possible. So that there can be this close rapport between us, the member of the parliament, and our electorate. It is important. It
yeah.
even helps in your job.
And honorable, probably some will say, oh, it's a logistical nightmare. But people are saying that you are the ones who are approving the budget. And then the budget comes to you, and then why not you include it in the budget to ensure that you meet, especially when during budget sessions, like when the people don't know the importance of the national budget, just few people knows. People don't know, people cannot connect how the national budget affects their lives, how the national budget affects their daily bread. You understand? So this is the budget. Now, and you have the final say.
Well, I
So
think it's
can
important. I think that is
as
important, MS. That should not be our problem, because if you look at the draft, it even clearly stated that the National Assembly, we are the one that allocate appropriate budget, and we appropriate budget ourselves. We determine how much we're going to be paid. So if you say
yes.
that I cannot reach out to my people because of a logistic nightmare, I didn't agree with you on that. During the budget session, come up with this idea. Let us see what is the possibility, the best appropriation that you can reach out to your people. That's important. What we cannot, as a member of parliament, says that I cannot go and meet my people because we don't have enough logistic arrangement. That is totally unacceptable. Because we are, like I always quote from Honorable Halifa Salah. He said, this is a budget. We have the knife and the bread. So we cut anyhow we want. We allocate to the office of the president, office of the ministers. We allocate it. So what we should do is that let us look at what is allocated to ourselves. Whether it is enough for you to reach out to your people at your country, at the Bassi, those in the Bassi, those in the Woolies, those in the Jara, it's important. Let's say those in Jara or those in the Woolies, the budget, let's look at it and then make sure that something is appropriated for you so that you can reach out to your, let's say, 12 months in a year, or 6 months in a year, or 7 months in a year. It's possible. So I think that's possible.
Okay, perfect. The heated debate as a result was the section 144 of the 2020 final draft of the Constitution, which stipulates the recalling National Assembly members. I think it is clearly there, but people are saying probably it has to be emphasized, and the National Assembly member, Honorable Sekou Maram, was also trying to say, by extension, it should be vividly described as to how it will go. I am Mohammed Bah, MS. I am hosting the show. I have Honorable Sekou Maram, Salimatu Fati, and Babukar. This is interesting. Babukar is a prominent youth leader. As you can see here, you've heard his comments about the recall, which he was very keen. Salimatu also elaborated on the importance of the recall. This is very important. And this discussion is about creating a platform for people to discuss about the final draft constitution, and then what people want, the how people want their MPs to represent them, and then ensure that the constitution reflects the minds of the people, reflects the need of the people, reflects the reality that people foresee, as Gambia is transitioning from an autocratic to a democratic dispensation. How can we build strong legal instruments, which is the constitution? Very key. Moving forward, honorable member, I know the discussions are very interesting as we go along. How do you think the confirmation of appointments of key state institutions by the parliament as stipulated in the draft constitution, will promote institutional separation of powers and check and balance. Because we've seen recently, the president will just hire and fire without any cross-checking by the National Assembly. The prerogative power is given to the president. There is no check on hiring ministers and firing ministers. But on the contrary, in the new constitution, we've seen that National Assembly must vet, has to go through the names, like we've seen Nigeria, what happened in Nigeria, that ministers will just be appointed, will be nominated by the president, and then the National Assembly will approve, but it has to go through a thorough scrutiny. How do you think that can help in the separation of powers?
Well, MS, I think, thank you very much. That's a very important issue that everybody is talking about, because if you look at the draft, it is telling us it's only the vice president that can be appointed by the president. But other than the vice president, the ministers, even the secretary of cabinet, should be nominated by the president and then subject to the confirmation by the National Assembly. That's what it says. Yes, to my own understanding, or to my own opinion, yeah, this is a very important issue that we need to look at, because we have to look at the separation of power here, and we have to look at the independence of each and every department that we have. The executive, independent of the executive, the legislature, and then the judiciary also is important. But also, I have a problem by saying that, because if you look at here, this is what is happening in Kenya, this is what is happening in Ghana. But it's a contrary in Sierra Leone. It is not happening in Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone is doing it the way the Gambia is doing it, that the president will appoint the state ministers. What I will, on my own opinion, what I understand, what I would like to do, if I am debating, what I will debate on, but subject to what my guys are going to give me, or the discussion that I'm going to have with my electorate, is that the vice president and the ministers can be appointed by the president directly. But the office of ombudsman, are you getting me?
Yes.
All right. The key office that of oversight, like office of ombudsman, human rights, and all other offices, can be nominated by the president.
Institutions. Yeah, the other independent institutions. You mean statutory institutions?
Exactly.
Yes.
Can be nominated by the president, subject to the confirmations of the National Assembly. Because sometimes you can. Okay, that is my view in this one. That's my opinion.
Okay, perfect. Okay, Bubakar, you've heard Honorable saying that his opinion is the president can appoint, just hire and fire, and then without National Assembly approval or subjected to or scrutiny through the National Assembly.
And then I think let me add this thing. Let's understand also the appointment of the ministers. Let's understand that yes, the ministers can be appointed by the president, subject to the approval of the National Assembly. But in terms of firing them, the president can directly fire them from the draft constitution. If you look at it, that's what it says.
There. Yes.
So
yes.
So that's
already.
So when we talk about the firing aspect of it, it is still there. The president still have that power to fire.
Okay, but now let me listen to your electorate and people who will comment about this. Do you think, as people watching and people as Bubakar, a concerned person, do you think the president should hire without going through National Assembly scrutiny? Do you think, because Honorable is saying he don't think that, he don't just think he will, oh my God, my people are going. Okay, he don't think that people should be subjected to, or ministers should be subjected to National Assembly scrutiny. And but people are saying it, and then in the Constitution, it is stating that the ministers should be subjected to scrutiny, like Nigeria and other countries, where not everyone can just come and then be hired by the minister. So, what is your take on that? What is your take? What is your take on Bubakar? Bubakar.
I think MS, the draft constitution is very, clear about that. It is only VP that is that should be nominated, that should be appointed, but then the ministers should be nominated, and then the National Assembly will scrutinize the minister and see whether the minister is capable enough to be in that particular position that the president wants to give to that individual. So this is very important, and as far as the country is concerned, this will help the country to move forward, because looking at other ministers who are not capable enough, who are not qualified, who are not competent enough to be in the positions that they are handling, to be honest, they are affecting the development of our country, and then also they are also delaying the development process of our country. But then if they are, if they pass through the National Assembly, and the National Assembly scrutinize them, know what they are capable of, know what they can do, and what they could do if they are given the opportunity, at the end of the day, this will help not only the executive, but then it will help the entire nation, because you are giving the right person the right positions. So I think the draft constitution, this one is very important, and this is very good, and I really support it as well. The minister should be scrutinized properly. We should check and know the type of individuals they are, what they are capable of, what they can do, and how they will deliver when they are given the opportunity. So giving them the opportunity, they have to deliver to an expectation. So they cannot deliver if you don't know their qualities and their competency. So this is why it is very important for the National Assembly to scrutinize this particular minister, to know what the minister is capable of, what the minister can do. If that happens, then at the end of the day, we will be having the right people at the right positions. But then if this does not happen, at the end of the day, it's going to affect the Gambia and her people, because you will be giving the individuals who are not competent, who are not capable, and who are not going to deliver to an expectation. This is, sometimes this is actually happening, and it is delaying the development process of our country. So I think this is very good, and I also support it, because the ministers should be subjected to scrutiny before they are given the opportunity to be in those positions.
Okay,
So that
so
is
that's
very good, and I
that
definitely
ministers should be,
like it as well.
yeah. So ministers should be subjected to scrutiny. Salimatu, what is your take on that? Honorable is saying ministers can be just can just be appointed. It can be left as it is, but the new constitution is saying definitely it states that the ministers has to go through a scrutiny. So we are trying to
Scrutiny.
look at check and balance. What's your take on that?
Well, I think I actually agree with the new constitution that says that. I think that's how Nigeria and other countries are also um, operating. So that's definitely a great one, because ministers, they have a role to play and they have responsibilities. So if it is just selected by the president, just like the 1917 constitution, it's a one-man soul, and it's like the president just select any other person, and just any individuals. And we have seen a lot of the time we see people in the ministerial position that are not even fit for the position. So I think I totally agree with the new draft constitution. And just like the Nigeria and other countries are operating, the minister, the president have to nominate, but it has to pass through the National Assembly, and the National Assembly is to make sure they scrutinize the person, to make sure that the person is actually fit for the position before the person will be given a ministerial position.
Exactly.
Okay, so Honorable, you've heard what people are saying, that they really want to have the appointment to be subjected to National Assembly scrutiny. Some, that is what their opinion is. Okay, Honorable, how in your opinion does the introduction of presidential term limits in the draft constitution contribute to consolidate of in or consolidate the democracy in the Gambia? How do you think term limit enhance or strengthen the democracy in the
Well,
Gambia?
MS, thank you very much. I think time limit is something that we've all been crying for the past 20 something years. We've all been crying for, saying that time limit should be in our law, because what it is going to put a control over a sitting president. So that in terms of this dictatorship that we've been having, overstaying in his office, that's what leads to dictatorship. But then I strongly believe that there should be a term limit for every sitting president of this country. There should be a term limit. I agree with the term limit. I totally agree with the term limit. But the manner and the way it should be also matters a lot. But I totally believe that each and every sitting president should have a term limit, two term in office. Hello.
Yes. Oh, are you getting me?
Yes, I am getting you loud and clear.
Yeah, yeah,
Discussion
yeah.
about
How about the automatic like implementation of the term limit affecting the current president?
that's the
Um,
retroactive.
yes, retroactiveness of that law.
Well,
How what
I am totally against the retroactive. You cannot pass a law and say that this term that you serve as a president should be part and parcel of the your term. I totally disagree with that one. I agree.
mm. Is
Yes.
that not is that not defeating the purpose of the constitution, like the intention of the constitution trying to avoid people for staying more than 10 years?
No,
Or
it is not. It is not. We have to understand the situation here. What we want to avoid here is the retroactive law. We cannot have a law that are retroactive. You cannot backdate law. That's what we have to understand. This is why I say when you look at the functions of the national, the power, the legislative power of the National Assembly. Earlier on, I told you that National Assembly should not pass any retroactive law, as stated in the
yeah, but
1990s.
honorable, the retroactiveness, as I made to understand, I was made to understand by experienced lawyers that in this context, retroactiveness is a general accepted principle, you know. And then if in context, this constitution is trying to, because Gambia went through something, and then now that is, I can say, per se, autocratic rule. And now we are trying to avert that. We've seen probably in Senegal what happened there during Ablaye Wade's time, when the constitution was silent about it. And then they went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has to say that no, the constitution is silent, and then this man has the right to go for the term for another runoff. But in this case now, probably these people are avoiding it happening, because we've seen, if you don't do that, we've seen Guinea just currently. Alpha Conde has changed the constitution, and now he declared another elections in October. We've seen what is happening in Ivory Coast, and then probably something that is trending in other countries in Africa. So, in order to avoid those kind of stuffs, don't you think it's just a matter of political will, and then we move ahead?
Yeah, MS, I think the situation that you're quoting, like the Guinea case, the Africa case, and our scenario is totally different. Here we're talking about, we're having a draft constitution before us, all right?
Yes.
But in that draft, we believe that they wanted a retroactive law. Then they want to say that when we pass this draft, the terms of the president that he served should be part of this draft. And all what I am saying is that I am not denying every sitting president to serve for a term of let's say 10 years. Yes, President Barrow should serve for a term of 10 years. But remember, we cannot force the President Adam Barrow by saying that this term that he's serving should be part and parcel of this draft constitution. Right now, let's look at the time frame that we say. Let's say in September we're going to sit over this draft at the National Assembly. Maybe we go for a referendum. From there, it will go for a referendum. Then after the referendum, all right, maybe IEC said they release their schedules, but I don't know whether it's going to go by. They're going to go by that, because that's not the final one. But if you look at all those ones, like we are telling that Adam Barrow almost served 4 years in office before this law, before we pass this draft constitution. So in coming into force of this draft constitution, I strongly believe that the term that the president is serving should not be part of this draft. So I believe that the active law should not be part of this law. It should not be there. This current term of the president should not be included in the current draft constitution.
Okay. Perfect. Boubacar, what's your opinion? Do you think it should just count from the current term as it is in the constitution?
Yeah, I am also in support of the term limit. I think it is very necessary and vital as far as we are concerned, because this has so many advantages and it will help us a lot to have good leadership and to have people in place as well. Because if you look at the term limit, the president will know that, okay, I will be here for 5 years, but then the next 5 years that will come, if I complete it, whether I like it or not, I'm going back. People are not giving me the opportunity. So meaning the situation is compelling you to do the right thing, and the situation will compel you to do the right thing. But what I don't understand is why is it that people are trying to argue or to have an issue about the president, the current president? I mean, saying that, I mean, this first 5 years should not affect the current president because the law should not be retroactive. I mean, come on, we have, I mean, graduate from that. People, I mean, people voted because we want to change the laws. We want to have good laws in place. So this is why we voted, because we believe that Jammeh was here for more than 2 decades. You understand? Sadala was here for more than for nearly, I mean, nearly 4 decades and so on. You understand? So why do we want to have the time limit? Because we want to make sure that we give opportunity to others. Not one individual can do everything. You want to do something, you just do it. If you cannot complete it, then the other person will come and then take it from there. And then what we are saying is, if we have the time limit in place, this will also reduce the corruption, and this will also, I mean, reduce the abuse of offices. Because what will happen is, you know that very well that, okay, fine, I'm given the opportunity serve for more than 10 years, and 10 years is very short. Because if you serve for your first term and, I mean, you decide to run again, then you have the right to run. But then the second time you will not have the right to do so. And this is why we have the developed countries who are developing. Because what happened is, they give their people the tax and the mandate that, look, this is what you need to do. And if you don't do the right thing, at the end of the day, when you are, I mean, when you are no more here, then fine, you are going to be affected. So what I'm saying is, I totally agree with the term limit. But then again, the president, this term should not, I mean, exclude him, because he's also, I mean, he should be also part of this, I mean, term limit. And we don't expect to have another individual who will be here for more than, I mean, 10 years. No, it shouldn't be like that. This is what we fought for, and this is why we elected him. We elected him in office because we want to change the laws. So if you said you don't want to be here for, I mean, you have, or let's say, I mean, you underrate the 10 years, and then again you want to have, I mean, let's say 15 years in office. At the end of the day, you are also trying to insult the people, and this is the insult to the electors, because this is not what we fought for. What we fought for is, we want to have a term limit. The president should come and serve for only 10 years. You serve for 5 years. If you do the right thing the first time, fine, people will give you the opportunity. If you don't do the right thing, then they will, I mean, uproot. And I mean, or the individual who will deliver to an expectation. But then if you serve for 5 years, fine, you are given the opportunity. The next 5 years you serve, you said, okay, now I want to serve again. Nobody knows. You can even convince other people to change the laws and to have, I mean, laws that we were trying to avoid. So this is why it is very important for us to be very mindful. We have to be very mindful of the decisions that we are, I mean, trying to make, especially the National Assembly members who are lawmakers. These are people who are there for the interests of the individuals. And then
Okay, okay. Honorable, you've heard Boubacar, provide this. Going forward.
Well, okay. Hello. MS.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. I think one thing I want people to understand, every Gambian to understand, there is no single Gambian that is going against the term limit. I want everybody to understand that one. Every Gambian is in support of the term limit. All right? There is no one. I am not, and let me repeat it again. I am not against term limit. All what I am saying is that a law should not be retroactive. That means we cannot backdate the law. That's all what I'm arguing. All right? Okay. I want all of us to understand that one. Yes, this current term of the president, and I strongly believe that this current term of the president should not. Hello.
Wait, Babu, please continue, Honorable.
This term limit that we're talking about, and then let's understand that term limits are going to be entrenched clause in the Constitution. When we say something entrenched, that means that you cannot, as a president, prepare just a bill, send it to the National Assembly, and they say they approve it, and it is no. Whenever we want to remove this clause, these are entrenched clause, we have to go for a referendum. And during that referendum is the entire Gambian, the population that is going to decide on this law. So this is why I say that there is no single Gambian, including myself. I am not against any term limit. All what I am against is that the retroactive law, by saying that the president, current term that he's serving, should be part and parcel of this draft constitution. Because what I am seeing here is that the draft constitution, when they are doing this one, the president, that's the sitting president right now, is being targeted directly. And we have to avoid that one. When we are making law, we have to make a law that is not targeting any individual. So this is why I strongly believe that the term limit is something that every Gambian wants. But in this scenario, that the retroactive of saying that the law should be retroactive, I am totally against that one. I am not in support of that one. But I support for this country to have a term limit of every president that is coming. Hello.
Mention of you getting me. You made mention of you not
you are also in support of term limit. I don't have a problem with that. I agree, and I believe that every genuine Gambian is in support of the term limit. What we are saying is, if you are definitely in support of the term limit, then please let us not try to encourage. I know the law is not getting anybody here. We are just trying to be flexible to understand that we are doing the right thing in order to make sure that we have the good law in our country, in order to make sure that we have the right people in the right places and so on. So what we are saying is we are not targeting, the law is not targeting anybody, and I don't see any retroactive law here. What we are seeing here, because the president knows that very well, it is part of the agenda that is coming, but then what they are working on is they just want to have the time limit. This is one of the most important things as far as their government is concerned, or the coalition was concerned. You understand? So what I was saying is we have to make sure that and put that into consideration, because what is happening is the time limit, you cannot, advocate for the time limit, and then now you are saying that the current president should not be affected. What are we talking about? Let us try to scrutinize and to know what we are talking about. If you say the president is not affected or should not be affected, because the law should not be retroactive, I'm coming, because the law should not be retroactive, then meaning you are also trying to encourage this matter for 15 years. That is 3 times. What we are saying is let us just try to understand that. You understand? Because the lawmakers, they have to understand that time limit is very important, and it is, something that we should not joke with. So let him not suffer. Let us just allow this term to be part of it. We should not even argue or debate about this issue, honorable. To me, it doesn't make sense.
You've made your points clear, Babukar, that you're supporting the current president's term to be part of it, which honorable says he is not in support. Is very clear. Let's hear Fatty. Fatty, what's your observation or what's your opinion or view on the term limit, and also about the President Barrow's term, the first term of President Barrow being counted as part of it, like retroactive automatically? What's your take on it?
Okay, so first of all, let me just say this. Honorable Say Humarong, I would say I don't think actually Gambian people are targeting the President Barrow for the time limit thing. I think we are not really targeting him, by the way. It's more of like the opinion of people, what people really want. So another thing also I would say is it's true. Laws, it cannot be retroactive. So the current president right now is ruling based on the 1917 Constitution, not yet the draft Constitution. So I would say, because right now the 1917 Constitution is what is applicable to the president, to the current president. So the draft Constitution is not yet applicable to his term limit. So let's assume, for example, the draft Constitution is adopted within or during his term, then I would say it's supposed to be included. But if it's not adopted by that time, then the presidents are not supposed to be subjected to the time limit for this, because laws do not actually retroactive. But again, we make laws and we can actually change laws. I think it's still the perspective of the people of the Gambia. How do we want it to be? Because because the laws in our constitution are written by us, it is our voices. So we have to make sure if the whole country agrees that it's going to be part of it, why not? We can stay changing. Most of our laws are not absolute. They are flexible. So that's actually my take, by the way. But for now, I would say that we are not targeting the president. In conclusion, we are not targeting the president for the time limit, and secondly, the president is subjected to the current constitution and is not subjected to the draft constitution. So that's actually my take. Yeah.
Okay, so you are supporting term limit and also the presidency's the president's current term should count. Okay, let's get Sergio Barrow's comment. Sergio Barrow, a man by the name Sergio Barrow, he said, Honorable, the draft constitution did not contain section 153 only. If so, your argument may be tenable. The retroactive provisions have limitation as outlined on provision. So National Assembly members does not have blanket authority to pass any law. He's talking about the legislative power of the National Assembly, and then Section C, which we were arguing about, which Honorable was raising some concerns rather, which it states that talking about alter the decision or judgment of a court in any proceedings to prejudice of any party to the proceedings or deprive any person retroactively vested or acquired rights. So he's trying to bring those arguments about the legislative powers. So this is what Sergio Barrow is saying, Honorable. Honorable?
Yes, I think if I understand what Sergio is talking about, he's talking about when I say that National Assembly should not have the power to pass a law that are retroactive. This is what he's trying to argue. Okay, and I totally agree with what he says. Yes, he highlighted those things. I think they are important, you know. But if you looked at the draft that we are looking at right now, if you look at it, that is the three, like I say, 153.3. If you look at it, what it says, subject to subsection 2. And then if you look at the subsection 2, what it told you is that the National Assembly shall not pass a bill, A, to establish one party state, B, to establish any religion as a state or a religion. That's what it says. So now, this is what I say is that National Assembly, looking at this 53.3, that the power is there for National Assembly to pass a law that are retroactive, because that's what it says. So I am saying that this thing should not be here. It should not be in this draft, because we cannot. I am not supporting National Assembly to have that power to have a law that can be retroactive, to pass a retroactive law. I am not in support of that one. And also, someone.
I think Section 3 is saying may pass the bill. So his argument is it is not like
exactly he's right. It's not composed. It's not mandatory. It didn't say shall. It said may. So that's right. He's right on. He's right. He is very, very right on that. It didn't say shall. It said may.
Yes,
so, and he is right. Yes, he is right. Baru is right on that.
Perfect. So where is Salimatu? I'm not seeing Salimatu. So let's go to 50+1. Honorable, we've seen simple majority, and then a lot believe that simple majority. We were having absolute majority. I can vividly remember probably in 2001 elections, and then it was changed. Before the 2006 presidential elections, and then now Gambia is having simple majority. We've seen a lot of candidates that won don't even win 50% of their votes, and then a lot of people are saying this will bring further political divisions, and then will also make you or any other person, or some has 50%, but most of them don't have. Even we can say President Barrow got 45%. But just to contextualize it, give it a context, a Gambian context. So looking at these changes, now the constitution is saying you have to have 50+1. That is the number of voters that are voting for you, or the number of voters you listed, at least people who voted, 50% of that should be voting for you or for someone to win a presidential election. What is your view on this?
Well, I think this is very important. This is something that I really support. Okay, 50+1 is a good idea. I support it. But the only problem that I have in this 50+1, the time duration of 2 elections, they are just giving us only 14 days to decide. From the first election to the second election should be 14 days to decide, to go for a second election. We looked at our country as a Gambia. we look at our the economic situation of this country and many things. Saying that 14 days period, I believe that that is too short. It should at least be a month. Let's say 30 days will do it. But saying that yes, 50 plus one, when there's a tie, when there's this thing, if no candidate have 50 plus one, we go for a second round within, and the second round should be organized within 14 days. So I think in that area, that 14 days period, that's what I will, I will just want that one to be increased to at least 30 days. Because but saying that 14 days for me is very small, but the 50 plus one, I supported that idea. Because at least a majority should rule, not the minority ruling the majority. Whenever we have that one, there will be a lot of trouble. Within scenarios in other countries where the minorities are ruling the majorities, always there is this violent classes here and there. But when you have the majority ruling the minority, I think that's better that way. But the time duration that they are given, that's 14 days period, to me, I believe that is very small.
Okay, let's hear others. Bubakar and Salimatu. The simple changing from simple majority to 50 plus one. What is your opinion? Starting with I think Salimatu. Are you here? Okay, Bubakar.
Yeah, I think the absolute majority is more democratic when it comes to voice of the people, because the majority should rule. And if you have 50 plus one, it means you half of the population voted for a particular president or a particular political party. So this is more democratic than the simple majority. But then again, this is my own opinion, and I think I'm going to differ with the honorable member for Larikunda Sabiji that absolute majority is very good and it is democratic, but then it has, disadvantages. And then we also have to be realistic, looking at the current status of our country. Because if you look at the Gambia, like he rightly said, immediately after the election, if there is no political party that emerged as a winner because of the percentage, then you also have to go for the second round. And then this should happen within 14 days. And this duration is very short. And then secondly, also we also need to be realistic, looking at the resources, whether there is a resources, whether we can be able to do that. And then looking at the literacy rate and the illiteracy rate of our country as well. And then secondly, also we also have what we call a democratic government. At the end of the day, we will keep on having let's say coalition government upon coalition government. At the end of the day, there will not be any sense of ownership. So it is going to affect us, because when there is fault, nobody wants to take the blame. And when there is a victory, or when there is achievements, everybody wants to take the
So what is your point?
ownership.
What are you
So
supporting?
what I'm saying is in every society you go, people practice differently based on the society they are. So I believe, this is my opinion as far as I am concerned, looking at the current status quo of our country, we have to be realistic, and I believe that we have to go with the simple majority, because this is what suits us, and this is what will help us, and this is this is my opinion.
Okay, it's fine. Opinion respected. Salimatu, what's your opinion? 50 plus one or simple majority?
Well, I actually agree with the 50 plus one, because looking at the Gambia situation, we have a lot of political parties coming up right now. So having the 50 plus one is definitely going to be competitive, but that's entirely how the voices of people are strong, and it's also an avenue whereby exactly this is what Gambian people want. It's going to be so competitive, but I totally agree with that. And also with the 14 days, elections are expensive. I wouldn't say I didn't agree with that. Elections are so expensive. But the honorable Sekumaro is saying the 14 days duration is too short. I think that the thing is, what's supposed to be within that 14 days duration is a question. If just to do the re-election again, Gambia is too small. I don't think the 14 days is small. If country like Ghana is doing, Sierra Leone or Ghana is doing something like 14 days, and it's bigger than Gambia, so why can't we do 14 days to redo the election again? So I'm not with a simple majority, Babuka. I differ with you for that. So I'm with the 15%, and also I'm totally okay with the 14 days.
Okay. People are Babukar, people are saying you cannot put a price to democracy, because dispense with democracy is something that is very important. And then if you think democracy is important, it's expensive. Try autocratic, try dictatorship. But however, I want to come to Mr. Maram. Mr. Maram, honorable. Now
Yes.
that some people are saying that it's only criminal laws. If you look at the general principle of retroactiveness, as you base on your agreement that laws cannot be retroactive, some believe
Yes.
that, as I said earlier, it's a general principle. But if it is a criminal law, for instance, we all know what criminal laws are. Laws that will criminalize people when they do certain things. Those are kind of laws that probably will not or cannot be retroactive. Um, in a democratic setup. But people believe that laws can be retroactive. If you look at citizenship, if even in the constitution, that people before the constitution being coming into effect, people who are citizens is automatically they are citizens. So it is retroactive, meaning that it is taking it from the latter, and then which is very progressive. So now, how comes that? What is your argument? Because people believe that it's criminal laws. Yeah, probably laws that criminalizes people. But when it comes to such kind of laws that are progressive, that strengthen democracy, look at citizenship. You are a citizen. If the constitution comes, you don't need to go through those processes again. You are now a citizen automatically by by the virtue of you being citizens before the constitution. So people argue that's some of their arguments. So what's your take on that?
Well, I think everybody is arguing based on your opinion and based on your understandings of the law, you know. And I think it is very welcome, and this is why we have in this kind of a program, so that we can hear from each other's opinion, what others are going to say, and what I am going to say. At the end of the day, we'll just go and balance and see whether what they say, whether it's reality on the ground, or what I am saying, whether there's a reality. At the end of the day, that is going to dictate our operations in the National Assembly. But what I believe is that the law that we have in our 1997 Constitution, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the criminal laws, but all those laws take their power from the 1997. Okay, right? The draft Constitution, that the draft that we're talking about. So the
Yeah.
draft. So this is why I strongly believe that the law cannot and should not, National Assembly should not pass any law that is retroactive.
Yeah, but we are talking about the term of the
Honorable,
presidency now, the retroactiveness of the term of the presidency.
I
People
am I am
believe that.
I am I am totally against that one. That the
Okay,
current term of the president is serving cannot be part of this draft. We cannot count them
okay.
as part of the term when we talk about term limit.
And you know that if the president wins the two elections,
Yeah.
presuming that he wins, he will be serving 15 years. That is 10 plus is 5. So
Yes.
what is your take on that?
Well, that is just an opportunity for him because when we are discussing about this draft constitution, let me come. When we are discussing about this draft, you know, when we're discussing about this draft right now, he's the one serving the president. I could remember vividly by Honorable Halifa Saleh when we were discussing about when we passed the act of our parliament to establish the CRC. What he proposed was very simple, and I can still remember it. That look, the 1997 constitution. Let us look at some of the clauses that we think that are bad. We amend them, move ahead with it. But if we want to write the whole constitution that we have today, that's the draft, then that's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of resources, and there will be a lot of different opinion when it comes to it. And then my opinion is very, very simple. I am 100% in support of the term limit, but I cannot support a retroactive law. Retroactive in a sense that you cannot include President Barrow, the current serving president, to his term this term to be part of this draft. I cannot support that.
Okay.
Unless
Okay, that's
someone can really convince me that yes, it is necessary, you know.
MS.
okay. Quickly before we go,
MS,
I
MS,
think the
sorry,
time is
MS, sorry, MS,
no. Yeah,
MS, sorry. Can I come in? Can I come in, please? I
okay.
just want to come in. Yeah, I just
Quickly,
want the honorable member to
we
understand
are
one
wrapping
thing.
up.
Yeah, I just want him to understand one thing. The
Yeah.
constitution should be people-centered. You understand? And then we are not looking at what favors the individual or what does not favor him. What we are looking at is what the majority wants, and this is what the majority wants, and this is what we really want it to be in the constitution. So even though we need to, sometimes you compromise for certain things for the interest of the majority. So even though you believe that that is your opinion, that the law should not be retroactive and so on, you have to understand that the majority of the Gambians will decide what will be in the constitution, and this is what they want. That they want the president this term, should be included in his
Oh,
two term,
oh,
that he should
okay.
serve for this, but then in the next term should be his final term if he is
Yeah,
lucky to be the
yeah. It's
president
Gambia. Now the question is: are Gambians ready to have a president rule for 15 years? After 22, we've seen Jawara 30 years. That has led to a coup d'etat, and then 22 years a coalition came, and then a lot of hitches and stuffs to our democracy. Now, if is Gambia ready for a 15 years, just a single person ruling for
we
15
are
years?
not we are not ready, and we are not going to allow that.
Okay,
Well,
perfect. That's your question. And then, okay, honorable, then we are wrapping up.
well, okay, we are and I believe that this kind of a program we're going to continue debating on these issues. These are very important things that we're talking about. Anyway, I know there is no time. The time is finished. But when we come, our next session also we can discuss about this. But MS, I'm telling I really, I'm very very happy, and I really enjoy having sharing a platform with you, Abubakar and Salimatu, listening to everybody, and then really everybody making a lot of senses. So this is what we expect from every Gambian. Let us debate on issues. Let us find a solution to issues. At the end of the day, we might disagree to agree. This is what we expect at the end of the day. So
Okay.
because of the time is finished, so let me just say thank you very much, and then let me also use this opportunity to thank IRA for the being behind these programs, and also Kerr also as well. So that's
Okay.
it from my side.
Thank you. Finally, Salimatu and Abubakar, looking at the rights, the bills of rights. That's your last question, and you wrap up. What impact do you think we've seen? Progressive rights, women's rights, youth rights, freedom of expression. The right to freedom of expression, which many believe it is progressive in the constitution. What are your take on that? What are your take on the rights? And then quickly, Abubakar, then you wrap up, then Salimatu. Then I come to honorable final remarks.
Yeah. MS rights are very important, and when we talk about rights, we say these are legal entitlements that every individual should enjoy: freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of movement, and so on. You understand? So these are things that are very important. But then, I am so, happy and excited that the youths are empowered, because if you look at the draft constitution, it is there that the youth, every political party during the National Assembly, election, they should, at least have 10% of their candidates who should be young people. And then again, if you also look at the women as well, women representation, whereby you have each region, you will have, two women who represent the women. These are things that are very good, and then they are also trying to encourage. Because when you talk about youth empowerment here, you are talking about what? Giving people the privilege, giving them the, opportunity for them to, empower themselves. So these are very important for them to be, in those positions, in those, institutions, whereby they will also contribute immensely to the development of our country. So I think rights that are, in this draft constitution are totally helping the Gambians, and particularly the young people and that of the women. So I am so excited.
Okay. Finally, how do you? What is your overview of the this kind of conversation? What's your take on like
Yeah,
having your honorable
this is
members?
very good. And as far as the Gambia is concerned, I think we should have these kind of programs always, all the time, in order for us to discuss about issues, to talk about things that are affecting the Gambia and our people, and to also enlighten the other people who have different opinions. Though we have to understand one thing: we cannot all be in the same in line with the same thing. But what we need to understand is we have to compromise. We have to, exercise the discipline of respecting one another. Allowing other people to also come up with their views, because we are all, we are all equal here, and we all have, entitlements, and then we all have privileges to, view things based on our opinions, based on our perspectives. So therefore, we should, encourage this kind of programs to debate about issues, to disagree, to agree, to enlighten and educate the masses, especially those who have, limited understanding when it comes to issues like the laws and so on. This is very helpful, and it is going to make impact.
Yeah, thank you very much, Abubakar. Salimatu, quickly to you on the rights, the bills of rights, women right, youth right, quickly, and then we wrap up.
Yeah. So actually, just quickly, I actually love the way the Constitution promote the rights of women and girls. I love the fact that it's not also discriminatory, and it's also give power to women, unlike the 1917 Constitution. So it has given power to women, empower women, empower youth. So I definitely love that side. So that's actually my take. So overview of the whole program is actually very interesting, and yeah, it's going to be more good to have such kind of discussion all the time for public to aware, because the constitution is still in the draft. But if you looked at it from the convention, some people still have doubts, people still have question. So I think it's more of like it's supposed to be a continuous thing to move forward, to be asking people opinion about this kind of issue, because we cannot just be changing constitution over and over again, or every president that comes we have to change the constitution. It's important we have a concrete constitution that is more representing the whole citizen of the country.
Okay, thank you very much, Salimatu, saying that we need a constitution that will stand the test of time, not only changing the constitution whenever a president comes into place. So I believe they are recommending for these programs to continue. I'm sure that it will, because people who are supporting the program are very keen in having such kind of programs. Thank you very much. Thanking everyone for viewing, for following this program. My name is Mohammed Bah, MS. I am the host of the program. Thanking Fatou for hosting the program, and then IRI, International Republican Institute, for probably helping or supporting in strengthening democracy in the country. Bye for now. Probably we'll have other subsequent programs of this kind. Thank you so much. Bye bye. I am out.